He is a writer, he's an activist, he's a performer, he's a poet. He's performed all over the country, and people love him on our stage. Say hello to Baruch Porras Hernandez.
Let's give it up for Dixie, please. A big round of applause for this sexy lady. I love that dress. When Dixie said, try not to get too drunk, I was like, excuse me? So when I got here, I was like, I'm going to have like 6 drinks before coming up here. And I've only had 10. Just kidding. So, right here? Oh, okay, cool, thank you. Give it up for our photographer and the crew. And everybody tonight has been so great. Everybody on here has been like really fucking hot. So, yeah, flirt it up, people. It's San Francisco, right? So it's 2003. I am 22. And Beyonce is really hot. Like, the whole world is listening to Beyonce. I'm in Mexico. I'm originally from Mexico. I'm at a disco. That's what we call them, discos. And they're blaring Beyonce. I try to visit Mexico every summer. I grew up in Albany, California, but I go every summer. And if you're an immigrant, you know that when you go back, it's not the same. It's not the same. And you try to bond with your family, but it sometimes doesn't work. So I'm at a bar. I'm with my cousin, Carla. She's my age. And I'm sitting next to her, and I'm realizing that because I've grown up and lived in the U.S. for so long, I don't know this woman, like, at all. And we're getting a little uncomfortable. And out of nowhere, she just looks, like, really bored. And just finally goes, primo, means cousin. And she, like, out of her sleeve, pulls out a rainbow bracelet. And she goes, do you like my bracelet? And I'm like, that's a rainbow bracelet. Yes. I like your rainbow bracelet. I wear one just like it at home. I wasn't out to my family back then. I wasn't out to a lot of people, just my friends and my mother. But in Mexico in 2003, I wasn't out to anybody. And in 2003, where I'm from in Toluca, everybody had to be in the closet. So she jumps up. She goes, oh, my God, I knew. I've known this whole time. Gives me a hug, and she's like, I knew you were one of us. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but yes, I am one of you. And then I looked at her, and I was like, can you take me to the gays? And she looks at me, and she goes, I'm going to take you to all the gays. We tell my aunts and uncles that we're going to a straight bar in downtown Toluca, where I'm from. We drive an hour and a half to Mexico City, and I end up in the biggest fucking gay warehouse club in Mexico City, where the go-go boys don't even wear clothes. The go-go girls are like naked, except they're wearing strap-ons. Beyonce's going crazy for love. And she's like, I'm gonna go get a drink. And I was like, so are you like one of us, or are you a support or ally? And she looks at me and she's like, I like pussy. And I just was like, high five. And, I go to the dance floor. I was 22. I still like dancing back then and being sweaty and surrounded by strangers. I don't like that shit anymore. But when I was 22, I was all about that. So I'm in the dance floor, Beyonce's, blaring. And out of nowhere, this, talking about unicorns, this, beautiful, curly brown hair, green eyes, skinny, all the way down to this amazing bubble Mexican butt. Boy is just, dancing and staring at me. And I've always been kind of a shy wallflower. So I was like, he can't be looking at me. Then he gets closer and he starts, grinding on me. And I was like, this never happens in the U.S. I love my homeland. Sing it, Beyonce. He had his button-up shirt all open, beautiful hairless little. I basically fell in love in one dance, and out of nowhere, he just looks at me and he's like, what's your name? And before I can tell him, I see my cousin in the corner of my eye. I try to go away, and he grabs my hand, and he's like, no te vayas, don't go, where are you going? And I was like, I have to go. And he's like, but you're like the most beautiful person I've ever seen. And I'm like, what? And then he's like, Ben. And I'm like, now up to this point, all of my boyfriends have been American, white boys. I'd never been with someone from my people. I'd never been with a Mexican. So when a Mexican boy with green eyes says, ven aquí, I'm like, see? We start making out. It's amazing. Never happened to me. When I went to gay bars at home, I like stayed in the wall, blah, shy. We make out, and then I'm like, it's fucking loud, so I'm like, I gotta go. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll go with you. And I'm like, no, my cousin's over there. So he follows me. My cousin goes, you just met Neto. He's my gay best friend. And I'm like, Neto? And he's like, oh, hi. And she's like, girl, this is my American cousin I told you about that I thought might be gay. Turns out he's gay like you. High five, bitches. So we high five. And I was like, this is perfect. I'm in Mexico. I'm in a giant gay club warehouse listening to Beyonce. And the most beautiful boy I've ever met just made out with me. And then Carla goes, I cannot wait till you meet his partner, Victor. I'm like, Victor? Victor shows up. He's also beautiful and does not like me one bit. And I still had 3 months left in Mexico. Long story short, they introduced me to all their gay friends. I discover a part of Mexico and myself that I never knew existed. And every day I hang out with them. And every day we bond more. And every day I fall in love with Neto even more. And every day Victor hates me even more. But I'm an idiot and 22, so I write poems every night. And when we hang out the next day, I find ways to stuff the poems about how much I love you, but it can never be because you're with Victor into his pocket. So, and he writes me back poems about how much he loves me and we should run away together. And I'm just like, we can't. I've never had Mexican gay friends. I have to I have to make this. I have to be honorable here. But it hurt. Thank you. I'd never fallen in love that deeply with someone, and here's I think why I fell in love with Neto so much. I grew up being called Baruch. No one can pronounce my name. In college, I changed it to Baruch, but Neto said my name the way you're supposed to say it. He would be like, Baruch. Hi. And when he said it, I would just melt. So after my going away party, full of rainbows and gay kisses, it was like leaving camp. Everyone was crying. I had to go back to, Sonoma State and graduate. Neto says, I'll drive you to your aunt's house. Carla's like, that's my mom, let's go. She's in the passenger seat, Neto's driving. It starts raining like crazy. Like bullets hitting the fucking car. Neto can barely see. I feel like we're gonna die. I'm just like, it's now or never. I take a poem out of my pocket and I'm like, Neto, this is the last poem I'm ever gonna give you. And I give it to him over his shoulder and he grabs onto my hand and he doesn't let it go. And I'm like, let go of my hand. And he's like, I can't. And I'm like, no, really, you need it to drive. And then Carla finally goes, oh, you faggots, pull over. Pull over. She's smoking the whole time, she's a Mexican woman. We pull over in the most dangerous neighborhood in Toluca. It's still raining like fucking crazy. Neto reads it, and he just turns around, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I know that you're with Victor, but I've never fallen in love with anyone like this. He just crawls over the seat, into the back seat. I look at my cousin, and she rolls the window down, and she just was like, what? You only live once. Blow smoke out into the rain. I take his clothes off. We start making out. It was one of the hottest, most uncomfortable makeout sessions in the back of a car in the rain in a dangerous Mexico neighborhood. The whole time I was like, I'm not going to do anything crazy. So I pull his legs up and see the most beautiful pink asshole I've ever seen in my life. And I just start tongue fucking him in the back of this car. My cousin laughing every time she hears Neto moan. He moans and she goes like, preach, 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 preach. And you know, when you get something wet, I find a condom in my pocket and I just start, and I tell myself like, I'm gonna have karma, bad karma for 7 years for doing this. It's a secret. Victor still doesn't know. All of our friends don't know. I hope I don't go to hell. But I start fucking him, and it's amazing. And while I'm fucking him through the rain, I see this old lady walk by with her umbrella. She stops and looks into the backseat window. And the only thing you can do when you get caught fucking in the back of a car in the middle of the rain is you just start fucking harder. So the old lady just kind of keeps going. Long story short, I talk him into trying to run away to Spain with me. I call all my friends and I tell them I'm not coming back. I tell them to meet me at the bus station that'll take us to the airport in Mexico City. I was like, let's move to Spain. I just lived there for a year. We can stay with some friends. We can even try to get married. That's how much I love you. I waited in the bus station for 3 hours, and he never showed up. And then I got onto the plane and went back to California, and he's still with Victor, and we're still friends. And yeah, sometimes but whatever. Then later I got another like green-eyed, curly-haired boy, so it's all good. But thank you so much, Bawdy. Have a great night.